Hello everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Pulp Crazy. I'm your host, Jason Aiken. In this week's episode, I will be discussing The Shadow Over Innsmouth. It's a crossover comic that puts the Shadow and Margo Lane in H.P. Lovecraft's Innsmouth from the story The Shadow Over Innsmouth. The cleverly titled one-shot issue came out this week and is written by Ron Marz and illustrated by Ivan Rodriguez. It is published by Dynamite Entertainment. This is going to be somewhat of a negative review as far as the storyline goes. The artwork by Ivan Rodriguez is amazing though, and I hope to see him on future Shadow and Pulp projects from Dynamite. But the choices made in regards to the storyline just didn't do it for me. Now this is most likely due to my own preconceived notions about what genre the story would actually be set in. But I was disappointed nonetheless, being more of a Lovecraft fan than a Shadow fan. I like the Shadow a great deal, but I am more fond of Lovecraft's Mythos. Just a warning, from here on out, there will be spoilers. The premise of the story is that Lamont Cranston, also known as the Shadow, and Margo Lane get stranded in Innsmouth on their way back from Nova Scotia after being forced to dock their seaplane due to the heavy fog. Margo goes out one night and is knocked unconscious after seeing what appear to be fishmen coming out of the sea. Luckily for her, Zadok Allen, a character from The Shadow Over Innsmouth by H.P. Lovecraft, is nearby and brings her back to the hotel. He goes on to tell Lamont Cranston and Margo of the local legends surrounding Innsmouth. That in the past, an Innsmouth sea captain journeyed into the South Seas and discovered a people who worship beings known as the Deep Ones. The sea captain saw the abundance of treasure the islanders accumulated and brought the religion back to Innsmouth. The Deep Ones then took residence off the coast of Innsmouth, in Devil's Reef. That night, Cranston dons his shadow garb and heads down to the wharf to investigate. He encounters the fishmen and gets into a gun battle with them. Yes, a gun battle. Seeing the Deep Ones holding firearms is kind of awkward, and the first clue that this is more of a shadow story than a weird tale. Following the gun battle, the Deep Ones disappear into the sea, but the Shadow knows. The following day, Cranston feigns leaving Innsmouth in a taxicab and leaves Margo there alone. That night she does some more digging and is captured by the Deep Ones. In a scene straight out of Scooby-Doo, it is revealed the Deep Ones are actually humans in disguise. They are bootleggers, and Zadok Allen is their leader. They use a submarine to smuggle their booze, which is illegal at this time in the U.S. due to prohibition, in and out of Innsmouth. Predictably, the Shadow didn't really leave, and he shows up and guns them all down. He burns the warehouse to the ground, and he destroys the submarine. He and Margo leave, but the issue closes out with the hotel bartender speaking to H.P. Lovecraft. The bartender tells him that one person survived the fire, and he was blubbering about a shadow. Lovecraft is intrigued by a shadow in Innsmouth. Even though I wasn't a big fan of the story, that was a nice way to go out. It was a nice nod to Lovecraft. Even though the bad guys turned out to be Scooby-Doo-like villains, I did appreciate the Deep Ones lore that was included. It's a gorgeous 2-page spread by Ivan Rodriguez, whose art was the bright spot of this book. In the past, Dynamite has not been afraid to play up the more supernatural aspects of the Shadow character that have developed over the years, especially in Garth Ennis's opening story arc. That's why I thought they would bring in actual Deep Ones, seeing as how they haven't shied away from the supernatural elements of the Shadow in the past. I was quite surprised to see them take a more true to the classic Pulp Shadow approach, without the supernatural elements, and make this more of a crime comic. You can't please everybody though, so I understand their predicament. If they went with the supernatural aspects and had the Shadow going up against actual Deep Ones, the classic Shadow fans might not like that. However, if you make the Deep Ones into Scooby-Doo-like villains, there is the potential for Lovecraft fans to not appreciate that. So, it's a tough balance for them to maintain. In this case, though, I think given Lovecraft's large following, they should have went with more of the supernatural aspects. If you're a fan of H.P. Lovecraft, I think you might be disappointed in this like I was. If you're a classic Shadow Pulp fan, though, I think this would be more up your alley, especially with the top-notch artwork. But like I said, this came out this week in stores, so head to your local comic shop or Comixology if you want to give it a try. I'll put links to the Comixology download in the show notes, as well as a comic shop locator. That's it for this week's episode. Pulp Crazy is located at pulpcrazy.com. I'm at Pulp Crazy on Twitter, and facebook.com/pulpcrazy. My YouTube channel is youtube.com/pulpcast. You can also email me at pulpcrazy@gmail.com. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.